Hello, everyone. I'm Jean-Claude BeyondMystic, and welcome to this very special report. Again, tonight, the Siege of Ottawa, our Freedom Convoy update. Of course, you can find my co-host tonight at Sending Ravens and also here at Tarot by Janine. Janine, welcome back to the show.
Hi, everybody. How you doing, Jean-Claude?
I'm doing good, but man, I've been scratching my head. I've been scouring the internet all day today, all day yesterday, and I really didn't find anything new to talk about, Janine. So I really don't know what we're going to do a show on tonight.
Yeah,
There's really
right.
nothing going on.
I'm not buying it.
You're not buying it, are you? No. Hey, listen, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us here on this live interactive show. A Tuesday as opposed to a Monday. Quite a few of you were surprised yesterday when Janine and I put out a joint notice saying that we would be pushing back the show one night. And in that notice, we explained that we were going to let the dust settle and maybe regroup here. But Janine, can you maybe put a little bit more meat to that bone and explain why we thought it was a good idea for the highest good to just push back the show a little bit last night?
Yeah, we were both just gut punched with that our draconian leader's leader, his announcement. It just gut punched me anyway, and I'm pretty sure yourself by the sounds of what you were going through. It just didn't feel, and also I could tell that a lot would happen between sort of then and now, and that we should just wait and not just react to the gut punch. Because that's really what it was meant to do as far as I'm concerned at this point. So we needed to, and it was Valentine's Day, so you needed to spend time with Sarah.
I did, absolutely. So that felt good, but yes, you're right. I did feel the gut punch, so to speak, and I did feel a little bit, I have to be honest, I was a little bit angry. Like I was just listening to everything that was said during that press conference, and I couldn't believe my eyes how absolutely absurd a lot of the comments were, and it was just a slap in the face, one slap in the face after the other. We'll get to that a little bit later on in the show, guys. But I thought, man, if I go on air feeling like this, that's not going to be a good show. And I want to, of course, we want to keep the energy high here. We want to report. But there's another thing happening too. Janine and I were absolutely burnt, and that's the truth. Janine, you went to bed really early last night. This is unknown to you.
9:30, my time. Yeah, so that's really early for me. It's like I just couldn't function.
Yeah, there's a lot of people in the chat saying, yeah, me too, holy shit. There's a lot of energy. That too, like you and I have been reporting all weekend. We did all of these extra shows, and it takes a lot more energy than you might think. And anyways, I spent 4 hours today trying to get back on track in my emails, and now I'm about maybe 2 days late still in my emails. That's how much volume I'm dealing with. And I can't keep on top. You guys keep sending me a lot of cool stuff, but at the same time, man, guys, it's a lot of work. So I do my best. All right, let's get started. Of course, the main article of the week here is yesterday, Prime Minister Trudeau invoking finally the Emergency Powers Act, which is a derivation of the old War Measures Act. So this is the first time in our history. I think his father had done something similar in 1974 or 1972. But this is the first time really that it's used on Canadian soil when there's actually no emergency, right? So you can blah, 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 say illegal 43 times during your press release and your presser, but really what's illegal? The guys on Parliament Hill asking for their rights to be followed, the bouncy castles. What's the emergency exactly, Mr. Trudeau? I still don't know what the emergency is. Yeah. So Janine, your first reaction to this speech, we'll get into the follow the money soon. We'll get into the measures that are being put to Ukraine, and they're slap in the face to Canadians listen to all this. But what did you make when you heard this yesterday? What was your first reaction here for the audience?
Oh, well, that was the gut punch. I never thought that could even be possible, right? So I even had to text you and go, is that even like legal? Because it seems pretty illegal to me that he would like make up a reason. And then my second reaction was, okay, here comes the false flappy things, which we'll talk about one of those later. But yeah, so they're obviously going to have to sort of in retrospect, point to something, because really up until that point they haven't anything that could even remotely require calling in that emergency act. So absurd. And then my third, by the time this morning happened, should I go all the way to there?
No, you're going a little bit too fast. Hold on a second here.
Okay.
I see where you're going, but let's go back to your first reaction of, is this even legal? So there's a couple
Yeah.
of things. A lot of people emailed us and said, oh, JC, they can't do it. The province didn't agree. The province came out. And like, technically, they don't need to agree. What
Yeah.
needs to happen is Trudeau needed to consult with them, which he did. So he basically said, I'm consulting you and I'm doing this, whether you like it or not. So there's that. So folks, don't trip on whether or not the provinces agreed or not. That was not technically a requirement. Now, there are several other requirements, and I posted these on the Twitter the other day. People were asking for the nerd version of how this goes through. So I did post the procedural stuff for that. But what came up was the Solicitor General, who was standing behind Trudeau. He came up to the mic and he said, oh, there's all of these things in order to get to declaring this state of emergency or the Emergency Powers Act. And we believe, quote unquote, we've met all of them, right? So right there, it's like, bang, no, you didn't meet all of them. That's a farce. That you and I can agree on, and we can have a debate all day. But the point is now, it's already in place now, and we have to deal with it. Perhaps later, as maybe tribunals happen, we'll get back to whether or not they had met all the criteria and whether they knew, in fact, that they did not meet the criteria in order to put this in place. Another thing I want to mention with you as well is that it hit me because Trudeau came out and he says, well, you know, the Emergency Powers Act, it's not the first thing you do. It's not the second thing you do. It's the very last thing you do once you've exhausted everything else. And I'm like, have you really exhausted everything else? Did you? Oh, what's that thing you're supposed to do in negotiations? Oh yeah, actually sit down with the other opposing party. Did you guys do that? No, you didn't do that. Yeah. So it's a little bit facetious of him to bring that up. But again, it was just another slap in the face. They think we're idiots. So speaking about that, do you think, in fact, Janine, that this whole misrepresentation of why they're putting this, in fact, again, they keep repeating the word illegal, even though a judge last week said that those guys were protected persons under the Geneva Convention Act and the police had to return their fuel. Seems that nobody's talking about that, yet Mr. Trudeau is hell-bent on saying that all of this is illegal. Can you maybe pull some cards here and figure out what that strategy is for now? Is it a big is he just trying to do that to convince Canadians, or is he trying to do that to convince the cops to do the work that they actually haven't wanted to do for the last 3 weeks here? Because again, we're hearing about all of these cops, and we'll get into why the chief of police is resigning today. Janine and I forecasted that a couple of days ago. But what is he trying to do? Was he talking to the cops to try to garner their support so that they actually crack down, or is he trying to convey a message to somebody else?
Well, he's definitely getting a lot of flack from all sides. So this is where he's at. So all kinds of his own inner circle there are saying he's out of line. Okay. And but he's moving it forward anyway. Right. And he's doing it for somebody else's benefit. So it's not coming from, like, he's puppeted.
Yeah.
Whether it's white hats puppeting him or at like the bad guys, or the white hats to look like the bad guys, or he's puppeted every which way. So none of what he says has anything to do with what he thinks or believes. He doesn't think or believe. He just does what he's told. So that's really clear. And also desperation is another. This is a desperate card. So it's like, like the guy's backed into a corner, And here's the next thing that happens. It's going to be disappointing. So this feels like even his declaring it might get stepped back, or something might happen real soon here in the next day or two, because it looks like this is only a temporary setback and not the real deal. So I'm not sure it'll hold or something. Okay. Well, because this card says, wait for it. There's something we don't know yet. We haven't heard yet. In the next day, I think we're going to hear.
We'll get into that in a second here. Okay. Teresa saying, JC, did you see the video of the police were hugging the people and we're singing "Oh Canada"? Not just that, on Valentine's Day, the protesters, those insurrectionists, those bad people and terrorists and racists and misogynists, all of that, they were giving roses to the police officers. I don't know if you saw that on mainstream news. I don't think so. We'll get into the mainstream media also here in a second. But what you just said about Trudeau being beholden maybe, or having his strings pulled by somebody else, of course, this is Trudeau and Freeland as members here of the World Economic Forum, again, taking orders here, presumably from the Mr. G himself there, George Soros. So that's very interesting you're saying that. So let's go back also to the question of the money. This is perhaps one of the biggest thing that came out of this here yesterday, is the fact that the government now, even though they were telling you during the press conference, no, we're not infringing upon your rights. You can protest all you want. That's healthy. That's democratic. You just can't do it over here. You're going to have to do it over there in the parking lot behind the garbage cans. You just can't do that in designated places anymore. So there's the free speech zones like we saw in the States that are coming up here. But more importantly, if you do speak against the government, we can seize your bank accounts without a judge, without a mandate. So any bank around Canada has now been given the power to seize your assets, to seize your cash, under suspicion that any of your transaction might be related to the protest. Like, that's large. That's really, really large. And I just like, seriously, Freeland, this about chasing the money or following the money, as you say, and this is Viva Frey saying, oh yeah, can we follow the money, the We Charity? Can we follow those thousands of dollars that were funneled to your family members? And can we follow that $1 billion grant that was given sole source to this company? Can we follow that money? No, that's not about that. It's about the little mom and pop shops that gave $20 and $50 to support people, to get them food so that they continue fighting for their rights. Janine, where is this money thing going here moving forward? Are they really doing this as a white hat operation to show that, in fact, they're having too much power and we need to responsibilize ourselves with cryptocurrency? Is this what's going on? Is this a white hat op?
Yeah. This is a unique way to get the word out. Get the word out. Unique way to get the word out. This was in the past. So they made an agreement. So that's when the white hats make an agreement with politicians that are compromised and then rounded up. So then they made deals with those people, and those people agreed. This is what I've been getting for a year now. Those people agree to continue to, in the front, appear a certain way. Doug Ford, for instance, is a real big example of that. So then they puppet them, or at least the image of them. So sometimes maybe not even literally them, as we see with the various different persons calling themselves the Trudeau.
Mm-hmm.
You're never sure which one's going to come in front of the camera. Mm-hmm. So this card's like, yeah, so that's what's going on. That's a wake-up call card. That's what it's for. I know it sounds irritating, but that's what I'm getting.
Right. Well, through the world today, this is Zero Hedge article saying, wow, martial law in Canada, literally, it's never been riskier to not own cryptocurrencies. They were talking about Bitcoin in the article, but the point was made here that once the government decides they don't like you, they can freeze your assets without even a hearing or judge or any recourse. This is what this emergency power does. And even though, again, I'm going to go back here to all the slap in the faces during this speech here, he said this was very temporary. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember back in 2008, they said it was temporary zero bound interest rates for the absolute mortgage crisis. Well, we're still zero bound quite a few years later. And I remember also Nixon saying it was temporary that we were going off the gold standard in 71. We're still off the gold standard. So temporary, my ass. And I also remember this guy telling us, oh, it's just 2 weeks. Don't worry, it's just 2 weeks to flatten the curve. And here we are 2 years later. So Canadians, be really wary when this guy is saying, oh, I'm taking all of this power, I'm suspending all of your rights, even though I'm saying I'm not suspending your rights, but it's temporary and it's going to be strategic in just little places here and there. Wow, frustrating. Okay, so we've done the dollar thing, the cryptocurrency thing. This is interesting here too. CBC now, a lot of mainstream media, of course, have had some issues during the last couple of weeks here. Protesters on the Hill have proven how much they are absolutely lying to the Canadian public. They're going out of their way to misrepresent what's happening in Ottawa. But here they're also pushing this narrative that the Canadian flag or the word freedom is now equating to a far-right concept, says Trudeau's state media. Seriously? Freedom is a far-right concept? I heard guys say, oh, that's Trumpism that just took over Canada. Really? Our freedoms and our flag is now a hate symbol. Janine, how much longer can the mainstream media hold this narrative here when people now are holding the Canadian flag in protests around the world, not just here in Canada? How quickly, again, is this a white op here again, just to completely destroy anybody's remaining confidence in the mainstream media? Is that what we're seeing here? Let's see what the calls can say.
I'll just mention somebody emailed me a couple days ago and said they went to their partner went to Canadian Tire, and asked and wanted to buy some flags for the car, and they took them all off the shelves. They're not available, and looked down the nose at this guy and gave him heck because he asked for the manager to know why they did that, and the manager was really rude about the. She said, no, because we're not supporting those truckers. Wow. Canadian Tire isn't supporting the truckers. So,
Canadian Tire is not selling you Canadian flags.
Yeah. Unbelievable. So I wrote to them and just gave them a piece of my mind. But it's like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
So that's what's happening. But yeah, you're right about that. But let's have a look.
Wow. I had a run-in with Canadian Tire twice during the pandemic where they had these little Nazis, implementing rules that were even surpassing the provincial rules.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Anyways, What a bunch.
Tells
Incredible.
You where their head's at.
Yeah.
Whereas I find Home Depot to be really cool, actually.
Canadian
They've been
Tire.
treating me really good the whole time, just waltzing in there without anything going on.
Wow. Cheryl says, I won't be shopping at Canadian Tire again.
Yeah.
That's frustrating. Right? Yeah.
And most of their stuff's from China. If you look at Canadian Tire, all of their stuff comes from China. It's
more and more. So go back to the frame of the question here. What's happening in the mainstream media, demonizing the flag, demonizing the word freedom as far right? Is this a white hat op to expose the media?
Yep. White hat op. It's meant to show you how they work and operate.
Mm-hmm.
How do these guys work and operate? So they're exposing them at every turn. Mm-hmm. Really, really like fast and furious. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And everything looks like it's in preparation for some kind of big military operation because this is the next card.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
We'll get into that in a second here. Libby is saying 10,000 My Pillows and truck blockade are blocked at the Canadian border today. I know that the My Pillow guy too had his bank freeze his asset just earlier this week. It was in the mainstream news here too. Not sure because he was talking about the truckers, but in fact the election in the United States. But that's a whole other show right there. Okay, so the hate speech now. Okay, wait. Before I go into our police chief here, let's go back. Hold on a second. We'll do another news item. This one here. So this was posted by Ezra at Rebel News, and he was reporting that the Trudeau CBC broadcaster is combing through the illegally hacked database of Give and Go donors and emailing donors asking them to explain themselves. So CBC, the new Nazi Gestapo, is combing through an illegally obtained hack of Give and Go, which is wrong in the first place, and now emailing Canadians asking them to explain why they're supporting the truckers. Huge intimidation here by, again, this broadcaster who was given a few $100 million by Trudeau just before the last election. Janine, I mean,
it seems like massive exposure.
Yeah.
Everybody's getting outed. Everybody's getting caught with their pants down. It's like they couldn't have done it more brilliantly. That's what I came to this morning. This is a massive exposure.
Yeah. Well, another point to that too, just the other day, we saw the OPP knocking on doors of people who had supposedly liked comments on trucker convoy freedom posts on Facebook. So not only are you being intimidated by the cops in your home, you're now being called by the CBC as to why you're supporting freedom in Canada. Could you imagine the twilight zone we're in? Janine, my God, I want to laugh, but at the same time, I want to cry. Like, is this really what's going on?
It's kind of brilliant, though, because that's really where we've been for a long time in Canada, but nobody was talking about it. Now we're all talking about it.
Nobody noticed, and now we're noticing.
Nobody noticed. Everybody was just carrying on. They didn't want to be bothered. Now we need to be bothered because this is going to affect us for generations unless it gets righted right now.
Fools Canada 1986. The Emergency Act was denied in Congress today. We don't have a Congress in Canada. We have a House of Commons and we have a Senate. So I'm not sure if you're getting that wrong. And although I've seen quite a few people repeat that today, I have no indication that anything is not what it is or what it appears to be right now. In fact, the Emergency Powers Act is still enforced, and the police force, which is our next news story here, is in fact acting on it. So Fools Canada since 1986, not sure that's accurate, but if you have a link to that, or if you have anything else, either from the House of Common website, because it would be there, show that to us, put it in the live stream, and we will, of course, investigate. It could be that since we went in the show, this has occurred. So we'll see. Now, next news article here, Ottawa Police Chief resign. Okay, so you and I have been talking about this for 2 weeks, that he wasn't too long for the job. He was, in fact, going to be kicked. Big bravo to you and the cards again. Janine, wasn't popular to say 2 weeks ago, but here we are. The guy's gone here today. Now, the question is, why is he gone? So I'm going to tell you a few things here that I can say, and there's a few things that, of course, I cannot say yet. And maybe in the next couple of days, I'll be able to share more. Right now, the narrative, they're making this guy out to be a saint, that he was a good guy, and he was pleading with police officers to not give tickets, to not hurt Canadians, and that he's responsible for the non-enforcement of peace and order on Parliament Hill. That's how they're positioning it. And now they're saying, well, we need a tougher bulldog who's going to go in there and ask those cops to do their job. That is not what I'm hearing. What I'm hearing is the absolute opposite, that he was, in fact, a bulldog, pressuring police to the point where 30% of them have either resigned or, on top of that, calling in sick or showing up to work, but absolutely just sitting in their cars, refusing to take any orders or to give any tickets. Let's see which of those scenarios make more sense, Janine. Let's ask the cards here. Why is he, in fact, gone here? Is he the tyrant that we heard other police officers say, or what the mainstream now and the Police Services Board is saying, oh, he was such a good guy, but he was just too weak to do the job? Which is it? Yeah,
interesting with the guys sitting in their car. I shared a video of that where there was a live stream and this guy videoed all these cops just sitting in their cars for the evening.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yep. Well, just Graham Richardson from CTV News the other night, he was told that the dance party had been removed on Wellington Street, where they have all those dance parties. And yep. He came back to report on that, and the DJ was back. And he was like, what? How are you here? The cops, put all of you out to pasture yesterday or a couple of hours ago. He says, oh, no, the cops let us back in. So Richardson's like, how's that possible that the cops are letting you back in? What just happened? So, yeah, there's a lot of sabotage there at the police officer level, really respecting and protecting the Canadians there on the ground. So let's go back to the story of why this guy is resigning.
Interesting. I think it's got nothing to do with any of the things they're talking about. It's something from his past.
Okay. So that's the thing I cannot talk about. So there was the two things being out in mainstream news, and I agree with you, it's none of those. So you're right on target here. There's something else. And what I'm hearing is, and this is all we're going to say, and we're going to change subjects here. But what I'm hearing is that if that came out, what you're just talking about, that would be a thread that would pull the thread on so many other things that would totally expose not just him, some of the police officers, but I'm talking about the bad elements of the police force here. There's a lot of good cops out here, and we've seen them all week in Ottawa. But that would expose that to a certain point where nobody would have confidence in them. So we'll see here how it goes in the next couple of days if that part of the story starts hitting the light, because we're seeing more and more of these coming to the forefront, just like the Durham investigation on the Hillary Clinton implication on the wiretapping. We're seeing all this stuff come out now. So will it eventually come out for Ottawa? We shall see. Okay, let's do a supplemental on that. Safe for the cards and safe for the show here tonight. Who's the next guy replacing this? Because right now it's a joint committee. They've brought in the RCMP and the OPP on this round table here to all jointly, actively work on this Emergency Powers Act and to bring back order to Ottawa. Are they still going to put temporarily here a police chief at the head of that? What's going on? What's going to be next here for the leadership of the OPS?
Well, it looks like they're kind of still working it out. We've got an ace and the six. So the Six of Wands. So they're trying to find just the right person. I don't know if they know for sure. Like that feels like they're still working on it here. And then the next thing that happens looks more, I want to say, military. This is the next thing that happens, which that would be more, or somebody who's got military background, or somebody connected to the military somehow. Would you say that the like, are one of those groups more military or militant? Because that's another way I could read it.
You could say that the RCMP is probably the most militarized. They have all those tactical teams and probably more infrastructure in place than the provincial police or the especially the municipal police in this case. Yeah, you could say that. But that's interesting because, again, what I'm hearing on the ground today is it's an absolute shit show. So they're trying to coordinate with these three forces. They're trying to deal with the fact that there's a lot of cops that don't want to do the work still. And whether they bring in a bulldog or a softie, the cops still don't want to implement what we had on the books for the last 2 weeks. Do you think they want to implement an Emergency Powers Act and actually grab kids from the trucks and like have, you know, gas and pepper, how do you call it, those pepper spray or tear gas and bullets like we've seen in other countries? Wow. I don't know, but that's what everybody's asking right now. And this lines up now with February. Okay, go ahead. Hold
that
on.
looks RCMP because I said RCMP and that's a yes.
Yeah.
So, but that'll take a while to sort out, like you said, because this says they're still not, they don't know for sure, but it ends up, it looks like going that way.
So it's tricky there too. I asked the question today to some of my friends and I said, well, would the RCMP follow such an order to forcibly extricate people from Wellington Street? And the person said, well, it's complicated, but yes, if they're ordered, there are some that would. So some of these teams, again, very more perhaps militarized than regular police. But that still doesn't mean that they would have support of the other police forces, the municipal and the provincial forces who are also coordinating with them on the ground. And they sure as hell wouldn't have support from the Canadian public if they were to see violence starting from their end, because right now what still is the fact, even though Trudeau wants to say that people are harassed and it's horrible and there's crime and all this is not the case. Crime is down 90% in Ottawa since the protest started, and apart from a few bad actors that were perhaps paid to put out those ugly flags, we haven't seen violence from the truckers. On the contrary, we've seen love and dancing and kissing and bouncy castles and all that stuff. So could you imagine if the police forces got in there with some violence? That's going to be absolutely crazy. So now let's ask about February 16th. On the show a couple of days ago with Woo Woo Dude, Jason Four, Julie from Maison Jupiter, and yourself, we talked about February 16th being a big day here. I don't remember why, other than it was the full moon and there was this opposition or Grand Cross, I believe, which was creating all of this tension on that day. So are we going to see tomorrow perhaps a first attempt to enact the Emergency Powers Act here and try to remove people from the...
Weird. I get it goes better than that. I get it. It goes better. This looks like maybe the white hats step up somehow or make a showing somehow where their intentions get brought into the public here, because we've got temperance, which is, it's almost like they step up to temper things. So I don't know how they're going to do that. And this looks like you might see pockets of police actually being really nice to, like, where they're not going to do that. Because kindness, this is acts of kindness, if you look at it. Even though that person's bigger than the little person, so they got more clout, they're going to do kindness. So I don't know. I got a feeling there's going to be kindnesses, and like I feel like it'll be a disappointing, let's say, to the regime that is known as the Trudeau bunch. They're going to be disappointed in what happens. So it might be, in a way, the reverse of.
Right? Okay. Could it be that the police, like we saw in other countries, throw their badges on the ground and finally in block decide to go with the people when push comes to shove? Is that a scenario possible here with what you're describing?
It's interesting because we did see videos today circulating of them hugging. And while protesters at the Coots border, even though that false flag was created. Oops, I shouldn't have said that. But even though that thing was created, they still parted friendly with the police there.
Just so you understand, folks, what we're talking about here, we're hearing reports, unsubstantiated, that these weapons were in fact planted on those people at the Coutts border, just so also that the CTV couldn't interrupt Pickford, who was in the press conference talking about the Charter of Rights, to ask him if he could guarantee that all the truckers on Parliament Hill didn't have weapons on them, as had happened in Coutts border. So you can see where these guys want to go with that, and that's the flag Janine is talking about. So again, guys, go see the news there. There's a lot to talk about here tonight. So let's go back to that story, perhaps, of those cops turning en masse here and supporting the people.
That could well be, because this is a strategy. So maybe not all of them, but a percentage of them. So when that word gets out like that there's a percentage of them not on board and they're acting on it, that's going to look really bad.
Yeah. Let me play a clip. I want to play it. I tweeted it earlier today, and it has to do with what we're just talking about now. And you, the audience members, thank you for all those roses. I appreciate that. Wisdom, wealth, crypto. I love that. Let me play this clip here. If we can bring it up. This was Instagram. Hopefully this video would sound would work.
Let me get this straight. You're
Can you hear Janine?
invoking the War Act, but no military is coming yet. Is it because they told you they're going to come and turn their hands on the Canadian men and women of this country? Is that it? So now your plan is to force the tow truck drivers who already told you they're not moving a truck. You're going to try and force these tough guys who are tough men who works on those tow trucks. You're going to force them to go and remove those trucks.
Okay. That's fabulous in and of itself, but it's not the clip I was looking for. The clip I was looking for is from a police officer. Hold on a second, guys. There's a lot on my deck. But that's interesting too. Yeah. You're going to force, you're going to get a person from the street, a bureaucrat, to go use a tow truck that nobody else wants to use to go remove tonnage of trucks. It just doesn't make any sense. It's just where they want to go from this. But I want to bring up this police officer in uniform in his car. I had a clip on yesterday. Let me see if I can find it. I don't want to waste too much time with you guys here if I can't find it live. Hold on. Man, the scroll is long. Okay. I went too far. Okay. I'll come back to it. But yeah, what you're saying there is a possibility that the cops could, in fact, follow the people here. And we've been seeing a lot of love between the cops and the protesters, actually. And every time I was there, too, there was once or twice that some of the police officers kind of looked at me funny, but for the most part, they don't want to be there, and they just want everybody to be happy and be free. You could just tell they didn't want to be there. Okay, let me see if I can get to a news article, and then once we do that one, I'll come back to the police officer. So let's go to this one here. It deserves playing. Okay, so we'll play this clip here. Dude, the things he's saying in this little clip, just basically he's admitting that the whole last 2 years was for nothing. I mean, this is a premier of a province, okay? This is not Joe Blow, it's not JC or Janine or a conspiracy hat theory guy in his basement with his YouTube channel. This is the premier, what he had to say today. So let me see if I can bring that up.
Thank you. I wanted to ask about the proof of vaccination certificates as well. It seems like a lot of businesses are kind of caught in a weird dilemma, because you've given them the ability to continue on with the proof of vaccination certificates if they choose to. So for a business owner, if they remove the proof of vaccination, they may lose business because people might feel unsure, uncertain about dining in a restaurant with unvaccinated people. However, though, they may also face targeted harassment if they keep up with the proof of vaccination. What's your suggestion for what a business owner in that situation should do?
I think the market's going to dictate. You can go to Costco, you can go to Walmart, you can go shopping. You don't know if the person has a shot beside you or not, but we also know that it doesn't matter if you have 1 shot or 10 shots. You can catch COVID. See, the Prime Minister has triple shots, and I know hundreds of people with 3 shots that caught COVID. We just have to be careful. We've got to always make sure we wash our hands and move forward. But, Colin, we keep...
Okay, hold on a second. I can't understand.
Quiet.
I can't overstate this. This is absolutely amazing. He's telling you 10 shots or nothing, it doesn't work. It's what he's saying. Yeah. Just wash your hands. It's the flu. Let's move on. That's what he keeps saying here. And again, it was like, what the hell just changed other than the fact that his elections are coming up in June and he's being eviscerated at the door. All the community organizers right now who are telling me like, dude, this is not popular at all. He has to change his tune and very quick. Does he have time for June to replenish? I don't know. I don't want to play the rest of the clip, but basically he's saying we need to move on. Everybody's done. We're done. Like, wow. Okay. Janine, what happened to Mr. Ford today?
He had a moment of truth. Karma, truth, right? Yeah, there's the truth card. Like, she tells the truth. And you could see on his face, if you look at his face, he had a sideways look, and then he just looked right in the camera and just said the truth. He was thinking about telling those lies again, and then he's like, no, I'm done. Okay, so yeah, it's going to go way better for him at the polls because of that. I wouldn't vote for the guy, but it'll definitely, he got a lot of positive feedback from that comment. Yeah, he's just finished doing this. This was in the past. This card's evasive, elusive, and covering up for things and just out and out a big liar, because this was underneath it, and this is badly aspecting it. See, this guy can be really awesome too, but not if he's badly aspected. He turns into your real slippery, sleazy guy. So he's tired of being that, maybe, or maybe he's finished that role he had to play in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Wow.
It's time to do the flip.
It's a hell of a flip, because I mean, I talked to a lot of people today. He was like, wait, did he said that even if you have 10 vaccines, it's not going to work? Yeah, that's pretty much what he said. So it's like, what's the point of this vaccination protocol? What's the point of these passports? It's over. Just wash your hands. Again, he's telling you it's just another flu.
Brilliant. And people, some foolish people, they need to hear it from some guy like that, if you can imagine.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's not JC or Joe or Jason Ford in his basement, doing a video. No, it's the premier. He just told you. Oh my God. Okay, I found the clip of the police officer. I want to play that. Let me see if I can scroll this back up here. Serbian Mike. Boom. Yes, boom, Mike. And Mike, I think I saw an email from you. I did glance through it. I'm almost caught up in all my emails. So yes, I'll respond to that. And if you're in Ottawa when I am, absolutely, Mike, I'd like to shake your hand and maybe do some reporting with you if we can. Okay, pissed off. So this is a police officer. Let me bring this up. He says his name. He's wearing his uniform. He's in his squad car. So let me see if I can bring this up. Hold on a second. What's not working here? There you go.
What? For a peaceful protest? This is bullshit. Oh, hang on. I know why. Because of Ford and GM breathing down his fucking neck because they freaking can't get their goddamn car parts from the Windsor border. That's what it's all coming down to. And now, state of emergency. You want to know what a state of emergency was? When Black Lives Matter in fucking Minneapolis fucking burned half the fucking city down. That would have been a state of emergency. Looting, murder, friggin' blowing up buildings, tearing up cars, flipping them all over, riots. And they never called it a state of emergency. And you're calling this a state of emergency? Oh, I know why. Because you're not making any goddamn money. That's what it comes down to. You're not making any money. You still got your little business on the side of making your little sticky notes put on the friggin' floors and a little plexiglass going around. And you got Mr. Trudeau there, friggin' what? Sorry, Mr. Trudeck out there, friggin' what's he doing? He's out there making, what, 30, 40% on per shot? That's what they said. I don't know. Don't mark my words for that. As I don't know. I heard that. I don't know. I didn't look into it. So don't go freaking out on my page. I'm just tired of it. I know 4 people that had the shots, and I think 3 of them were boosted too. So, and they got COVID. All right, just like Trudeau got COVID. Me, I have not had a shot. I am not vaccinated. Just like the Ottawa police, they do not need to be vaccinated. It's up to them, their choice. Meanwhile, other companies are firing people. Nurses are getting kicked out. Doctors are leaving. And you're fucking crying that it's a short staff. Like, Ford, what the fuck are you thinking, man?
Okay, tell us what you really think there. There's more of that. But just to show you, this is how some cops are thinking. And this guy's not alone. Absolutely not alone. So fabulous on you. He was talking more about the Emergency Act here in Ontario. He wasn't responding to the federal one, but it goes in the same direction here. What the hell is going on? And going back to what he said there, you guys are creating the shortages by forcing these people to get the product injected, right? Well, Trudeau was talking about today, oh, we need to put this emergency act here because we need to restore our supply chain. Well, if you listen to your bureaucrats, all the companies in Canada were telling your transportation department to not implement the mandatory injectables for our truckers because it would further exacerbate the supply chain problem you created over the last 2 years. And now suddenly they're worried about the supply chain. Oh, come on, give me a break. Okay, don't get me started. Well, along the lines of what the cop is saying here, give me a break with that psychobabble.
I'd love to have a coffee with that cop.
Yeah. And Mike says, yeah, Serbian Mike, finally a cop I like. Yeah, there's a lot of cops I like. Man, I'm telling you, I vote for JC. Okay, I'm not running for anything, but thank you, Violet. I love that cop too. And I've met quite a few amazing cops also in the last couple of weeks. I was reporting in Ottawa. Absolutely amazing. And they're feeling it too. Their parents, their mothers, they have kids too. And they're like, what the hell? What the hell? So again, when push comes to shove, I can see those cops changing here. So going back to Ford, we've talked about that. Okay, let's see what's next on my deck. Oh, this is interesting. Again, in Trudeau's press conference, he's forcing this. He's telling us that we need more measures to avoid more restrictions, right? So more mandates to avoid restrictions. That was on Zero Hedge the other day. But yet here, just our neighbor to the south, 70,000 people unmasked in a stadium. Of course, where's the science, Trudeau? You're talking to us about the science and you're doing this staunchly. And you're revoking everybody's freedoms because of science. And then our border is just doing the contrary across the border for the Super Bowl. Of course, it's all about the money here. Follow the money. Mm-hmm. Is this science thing coming to an end, Janine? Again, just being on Parliament Hill, we've had all of these amazing doctors from around the world, world-renowned, come on the main stage here in Ottawa, explain why their opinion is absolutely different and contrary to what the mainstream media and the government are telling us, yet they're not allowed to speak on mainstream. And this is probably the reason why Trudeau isn't speaking with the protesters either in negotiation, because the minute he does, he has to admit that there's other science here that is very, very contradicted to his and his mandates. What's going on with the science? Are we finally going to have a breakthrough there?
Well, the science is bought and paid for by the deep state. Okay, but they're crumbling. So we've got two. So that's really shaky, right? And then this is the next thing that happens. It has been dying a long, slow death. And things are going to come out when this guy gets back.
Oh, wow.
Shortly, by all accounts.
Right.
Right. So, yeah, I think then a lot of that stuff will be corrected. I think we're not long for having to put up with this bogusness. It's literally crumbling with these kind of cards. It's like it's teetering on the very last moments of itself.
Wow.
I mean, it's been going on for thousands of years, though, so it makes sense that it's going to be hard to get route out, and it'll be shocking for a lot of people to realize they've been going along with, these are learned, educated people that are completely just reiterating that. And there is no science backing it up. That's what's so absurd.
Yeah, exactly.
People that call themselves nurses and doctors are actually on that side saying, oh, yeah, well, you don't know the science. It's like, you don't know the science, obviously.
But then again, there's a lot who do, like in Quebec, all those nurses that said this far no further, we're not taking the injectables. The mainstream media was not allowed to ask them why they wanted nothing to do with it. We were not allowed to hear why the nurses, frontline nurses, did not want to take the injectable. Again, we're not allowed to have a second opinion when it comes to our health here. We're supposed to just obey, not ask questions. Otherwise, your bank account will be frozen. Speaking of the bank account being frozen, guys, if you're donating to this show, of course, it could be said by a bank here without a judge that you are somehow supporting terrorism. So be careful with your donations to BeyondMystic and Janine here. Can you imagine? Like, that's how crazy it is. Like, I'm just like, I can't believe it. Okay, we need to correct this. Quite a few people send us this today. Oh my God, is this in Canada? Oh my God, Canada, the Emergency Act. No. This is Paris. There's the Arc de Triomphe is in the background there. Still not a pretty sight. But do you think, let's ask though, because this is what the crux of the question was from our emails today. Is this perhaps a scene that we're going to be seeing in Ottawa? Militarized vehicles here on Wellington Street.
Okay, interesting. So that's something they're presenting as a potential. So it's either everybody gets freed or that happens. And that's what it's supposed to look like right now. So it's a wake-up call for you to think that could be true. Okay, but deals have been made. So you're watching a movie. And I'm not saying you should, the truckers are really, they really are doing what they're doing. That's not, they're unbeknownst maybe to most of them, I'd say, don't even know they're in the movie, but they, you know, like this was pre-seen. I think some of the players in what we're calling the Alliance and or the White Hats, they saw things into the future because I kept getting, they had wise beings guiding them. So they might even have some technology that folds time a little. I know now I should be wearing my hat now for sure, my tinfoil hat, but that's what I've been getting. So I'm thinking they foresaw, and that's why a lot of this stuff, you know, various different movies play it out and various different, I think there's technology that sees into potentials and timelines. And this was predicted, but it was predicted to go down differently. And it's the truckers took it and made it their own situation.
Yeah.
Right. Remember, Trump was talking about how great truckers were, even when he just first got in. They already saw stuff like this. They knew what was coming. Things are playing themselves out, and they might not know all the details. The truckers took it and made it into a heartfelt thing, and that's what made all the difference. They put their human and heart into it, and it stayed grassroots. It still is a grassroots situation. Whenever you listen to their little sit downs, it's still really like there isn't one person running this thing. So people that throw out fear-based things like, oh, they're compromised and they're stealing all the truckers' money, and that's just not true. Not from what I see, and I definitely don't get that in the cards. And they're saying it isn't. And no trucker, I've not heard any comments from truckers saying that. So I don't know where that's coming from, but that doesn't seem like it's happening. This is a real grassroots thing. And there's a whole lot of operations, apparently, according to these guys, when they sit down and talk about it, that are happening they don't have any control over. Like the Coots border, that was a whole Alberta thing that like vaguely connected and in the same idea, but that was their own thing. And they didn't have direct, you know, they're not taking orders from anybody, let's say. They're doing these things on their own, which is making it really hard to stop. That's part of the beauty of it.
Yeah. Yeah, very good. I'm happy you mentioned that. Let me backtrack a little bit here. There's a lot of questions in the audience members. They're confused as to the Emergency Powers Act. We talked about the money grab here. And a lot of people are worried that perhaps they can grab crypto because this is what Freeland and Trudeau was alluding here to. But you have to understand, they weren't talking about grabbing your crypto in your wallets. That they cannot do. What they're talking about here, and it was very important, there's a distinction. They were talking about funding platforms, whether cash or crypto, like Tallycoin is a funding platform for crypto. They were saying that those platforms needed from now on to register with FINTRAC so that they could abide by all the anti-terrorism and anti-laundering laws, and that they would have to, subsequent to registering with FINTRAC, have to report any quote-unquote suspicious activities. And then from there, they could be directed from FINTRAC or from the government to seize and freeze assets in the fund campaign. Now, if the funds are already in your wallet, no. There's none of that. They can't grab anything that's in your wallet. They don't know your keys. They don't know your passwords. There's nobody between you and your money when your cryptos are in your possession. That's the big thing here. And this is what Joe and I were teaching. Do not leave your money on exchanges. The exchanges are the weak spot. When you take your money off of your exchange and you hold it in your possession in either a cold or a hot wallet, this is when you circumvent all of this power grab. Very important. And this again is what the truckers are teaching us. So if you want to take a course on that and you haven't done so already, please check out Beyond Crypto, the Panic to Own Crash course. Joe and myself, we put this out a few months ago here. Very pertinent now as we're moving into this panic to own moment that Cliff High was talking about. Now that the banks have shown their cards that they can in fact seize your fiat money in this new social credit kind of system that was developed and tested in China. So please educate yourself there, and also take the security crash course as the addendum there. So I hope that helps. We needed to make that clarification. So thank you to everyone for pointing that out. Now, on top of that, going back to the money thing, a big thank you to everyone, of course, in the PayPal tip jar. We have a few questions here tonight, Janine. We're 49 minutes in. I want to get some PayPal tip jar questions. And I was being facetious about, you supporting, mean, terrorist, misogynistic, racist people like Janine and I on the screen. But that's how absurd this government is right now. Yeah. But you have to understand that without you also, we can't do this. Janine and I do this full time, and we do absolutely appreciate all of your tips, and we do absolutely appreciate you supporting us on our pay-per-view. It's what makes it possible for us to be out here, and a big thank you to all of you who do. Again, if you guys want to hear the truth, you're not hearing it on CTV Global and CBC. And if you heard my last reporting on the Hill the other day, there's this lovely couple who said, "Hey, Jean-Claude and Janine, do you know why we watch you? Because you guys are the truth now." I'm like, yeah, exactly. Thank you. Wow. So big thank you to that couple who said that in the live chat. Yeah. Okay, next news article. This, Janine, is a head scratcher to me in a sense, because what the hell, man? Why is this guy allowed to buy his way out and to not have a trial? So, of course, Prince Andrew here settles his pedo trial, yes, and pays accusers undisclosed sums of money. We didn't expect that one, Janine. We thought we would see more stuff coming out. No, and Cliff High had mentioned also in his WebBot data that there would be an attempt to hide, but even if they did or were successful in hiding, which right now it appears that they're successful in hiding the true implication of the royals here in this scheme, that the white hats would find a circumvent way to bring the information out. What do you have to say to the audience?
That's exactly what I get. That's exactly what. So she's truth, karma. Karmically, they won't get away with it this time. There's a strategy in place. They'll karmically not get away with it. So trust that they won't. I actually think they did. I think it was again a white hat op that would even let a story like that out, for you to be like, you can't believe, oh, he got away with it again. But the thing that'll come out looks like has something to do with the tribunals. Right? So that's justice. So and then she's like fair and just, and she's integral. So their truth will come out, but maybe in a different way. Maybe in disclosures, like brutal ones, like maybe I'd love the EBS to tell us all about it.
Well, you saw that video on mainstream news. Was it Turkey, or I think it was Turkey last week, that they were talking about the party drug and all those elites and the process of them getting the black eye and all. I'm like, wow, that's on mainstream news. Yeah. Can you imagine when that hits? Yeah.
Yeah. For a couple of years now on Turkish news, they've had stories like that. So it'll come. It'll come.
Absolutely incredible. Janine, do you want to take a guess as to what I'm going to put up next on the slide?
What I spent my morning doing?
We can talk about that in a second.
Oh, that one. Okay, the racy one. Okay, do that. Yep.
Oh, that too. But look at this. We cracked the 10,000 watching live. We're at 10,182. Just took a screenshot here of my StreamYard. Of course, this is between both of our channels running live. But wow, thank you guys. 10,000 in the live stream.
Brilliant.
Yeah, really happy about that. Thank you so much, everyone. And if you haven't done so already, please remember to like, share, and subscribe here. I'm getting these weird notifications from YouTube every week that my numbers are going down because they're cleaning up all the spam accounts. I'm like, imagine that. Yet I just hit 1.2 million views in the last 28 days. What the hell is going on with my channels, guys? Please hit that subscribe button and show me if you're actually there watching my show. I want to see what happens with those numbers. And of course, you can do that also with Tarot by Janine here, and also here on Sending Ravens. Please click that like, share, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Okay, Janine, Wow, congratulations. 10,000 live. All right,
That's
let's see here. Lorraine Thomas in the PayPal tip jar. Let's do a few questions here, and I'll also try to get one or two from the Insider Access Pass. Again, a big thank you to all of you. What causes the crypto crash that Janine predicted when she was in the show with Richard, Julie, and Jason 4? Great question, Lorraine. We were talking about this dip in crypto that could be an opportunity. As the astrology that Julie was presenting here, we saw an opportunity to get into crypto. So what causes that dip or that opportunity? What say the cards?
Death of the dollar, death of the old way, the death of the financial system, the way it stands, which some people are even saying by tomorrow it could be like the stuffs could be happening with that, right? Because of what's going on this week with the Fed and what they call the Fed. I mean, that's alludes to that it's actually federal, but it isn't, we know now. But anyway, yeah, it has something to do with the money system, the new one coming in, the old one's going out, and somehow that there has to be a crash that goes with that apparently. But then I always get it reboots, and lots of different cryptos will do well. Some won't revive it. We talk about that on that crypto sort of deeper look that we do.
Yep.
Monthly.
Let me bring that up also. It's still on sale now. The Astro Wu Finance for the month of February, guys. Save 33 is the coupon code, which will give you 33% off of this. And here again, you're getting both the astrology and your personal zodiac, 2 signs coming into play for your personal finances. And what's cool about this, we go through the 12 signs. For some people, it could be their personal finances. For some other people, their real estate. For some other people, their businesses. So having both Janine and Julie go through this for all the particular signs is really, really helpful for the audience, and the reviews are through the roof. If you guys are interested in that, please also consider checking out Julie's website here to get your own personalized birth chart. In order for you to know where your placements are, you're going to get the maximum out of these episodes so that you can follow along with us. You can do so at maisonjupiter.com. There you're looking for the boutique section. And also if you use BeyondMystic there, you will save 10% on those birth charts and also the bookings with Julie. Now I understand Sophie is already into, I think she's booked already for all of March. So there might be a few spots at the end of March open, and then she's going into April, guys. So if you're looking at having a booking with Sophie, please do it sooner than later. And again, the coupon code there does apply. Beyond Mystic, another 10% off at maisonjupiter.com. Okay, let's go back to our question here. So Lauren, we answered that. Rochelle, hi Janine. Okay, this is interesting. Oh, do you guys see that? Yes. Let me see if I can zoom that in the middle. There you go. Hi, Janine. I had a vision of being with you and Tamara in the Dums, escaping through water. Can you pull cards to verify? From Rochelle Moore. Rochelle Moore. What can the cards tell her about this dream? Thank you, Rochelle. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, she definitely was. We've got, she would be a sibling, one of our siblings, and likely a younger one. And then the world. So she made it out of there too. So I wonder if she could further tell us about that vision, because she escaped out of there. And like there were, I don't know, 6 of us. It felt like when I had the vision, felt like there was at least 6. There was somebody at the front of this sort of a rickety kind of a floaty thing, and somebody at the back. And I didn't know if I was at the front or the back. Tomorrow had a sling with a baby in it, and we had several kids in the middle, and we think Jean-Claude was the baby in the sling. Yeah. So she went into hiding. We all went into hiding after that. It changed our life, but we had to stay hidden. But so she was a part of that.
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
That's interesting. More and more of these people are coming up, and we're getting these connections, and it's important to feel into that and to heal from that. That's why these memories are coming up. The healing aspect is very important. I talked to a guy on Parliament Hill about the healing that needs to happen after all of this too. Go check out that last live stream from Saturday. He's at the beginning of the clip. He was absolutely amazing. Lauren is asking, let me see if we can bring this on the screen also. Thank you, Lauren, for that. Will there be a Russia-Ukraine event created by the bad guys to distract from this global protest occurring now? Are they going to pull through here, even though it seems to be a big smoke and mirror, to send troops there and create a huge event, we'll say event here in Ukraine, is that going to work out, or is that going to fall short here very soon because of all the protests?
It feels like it's falling short. So it was something they were thinking of doing. So they had it as one of the things. So from my understanding, it seems like they launched these different potentials, and then you can see them back off of them. So it was one of the things they were going to do. Something else is going to happen. I think it has something to do with Mr. T coming front and center again before that happens. So they don't need to do it. It looks like they stepped away from it.
Well, Trudeau's still pushing. We'll see. We'll see. I think the same thing too. There's going to be so much pressure that they're not going to be able to afford continuing that ruse. They have way more things. They're being subsumed by the woo here and by reality very, very quick, especially if there's a bank run. We won't get into that in this show here tonight. We're almost at the end of the show. But there's a lot of talk of bank runs around the world. That is a weak point to this system as well. Just like the truckers are absolutely a weak point to the structure of our not just supply chain, but our governments as well, as we've seen here in the last 3 weeks. Okay, let me see if I can get a Discord access pass or insider access pass question from Discord here. Let me see. While I wait for that, hold on a second. Susan, was it Susan? Yeah, let me see if I can bring this up on the screen. Susan says, God bless you both for leading the way for so many during these difficult times. Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you, Susan Ald. Thank you so much. Or Aldo. Susan Al, thank you so much. Really appreciate that. I really do. And you have no idea how we appreciate that. Again, it's not easy doing this job, especially not in these times. Janine and I really appreciate all of those comments. You guys are amazing. Okay. Air Angel. Did I get Lyme disease from the flu shot years ago? Interesting, because now we're talking about AIDS. We won't get into that too much here. And we're also talking about this weird hemorrhagic flu coming out of China, which could be that last gut punch that Blossom Goodchild was talking about. So we'll get into that next. But Erin Angel is asking, did she get the Lyme disease from a flu shot years ago?
I think she got something from the flu shot. But the Five of Pentacles says maybe not Lyme disease or as severe as, or sort of like take it down a notch, because I know Lyme disease is brutal, apparently. So something maybe similar. Maybe they concocted sort of a version of it that doesn't last as long or have as lasting effects. So something happened, but take it down a notch from Lyme disease. So I'm not sure about these diseases. So maybe she could do a little research. What could be something like it, but not it actually. Okay. And I feel like she's done a lot already. She's already followed her heart and intuition on healing herself. So she's going to completely heal from that in the coming, maybe let's hope months, but maybe years.
Okay.
She's going to completely heal. And I know that if you actually get Lyme's disease, from what I know about it, it's pretty hard to get rid of.
Wow. Okay. Do I go to that next article? What do I have here? Would love to know. Okay, this is a tough one. Let's pull this one, a personal one. I can feel the heart in there. Sky Girl MDA. Question. I ended a 23-year relationship a few months ago. Did I make a mistake? Sky Girl MDA. Did I make a mistake by ending a 23-year-old relationship a few months ago?
She was on the fence with that for some time and going back and forth. The issue might be just making a decision or always feeling like you made the wrong decision. That could be something to heal, because that's been slowly ending for a really long time. Slowly but surely ending. This card says, so absolutely didn't make a mistake. In fact, by spring and or early summer, I think there's a renewal of love somewhere, or you just fall in love with yourself or something. Yeah, because definitely wasn't giving you what you needed. Like there's a feeling of feeling either left out, or you're not enough, or something's not enough there. And it was like you were being starved.
Right.
Yeah. So no, not at all. Didn't make a mistake there at all.
Okay, very good. Let me go back to the slide deck here. I posted this last night, February 14th, and I said, I'm sorry, but that's way too early for that, sir. And sir, of course, is Dr. Peterson. He put out this YouTube video yesterday on his YouTube channel. He's got 5 million hits. He's been supporting the truckers and encouraging the politicians to pay attention to the normal Canadians here in the last 2 weeks. Go check his last videos. But in this particular video, my understanding of this video, as I listen to the video and I read what's coming out on the screen, he was suggesting to the truckers that perhaps at this point they should count some of those victories. Alberta, Saskatchewan, PEI, now Quebec, now Ontario, starting to move away from the vaccines, and to start thinking about going back to some sort of normalcy, seeing that in the House of Commons now, they had a voice in the Conservative government. That seems to be what he was saying here. And this was, of course, just before the Emergency Powers Act was enacted. But when I saw this message, I'm like, dude, it's way too early for that. Again, it was proven just a few hours later with the Emergency Powers Act. So I don't know if Mr. Peterson has corrected himself since, but a lot of people, after I tweeted that, suggested that perhaps he had been, somebody got to him, or words to that effect. You guys all know what that means. Can we ask the cards if, in fact, this somebody got to him, or was he maybe controlled opposition from the beginning? What can the cards tell us? Yeah, I'm getting the compromise in the chat already. I'm not sure. Is he a sellout? Question mark. Compromise?
No, I actually think he believed that. I think he genuinely believed that they'd won and it was time to go. I think that was like all of the Wands cards here are, he thought they had a victory and they should just skedaddle. So no, that doesn't look like anybody got to him. I'm not getting the Hierophant, the devil, the magician, all those sneaky cards, none of them. No, this, I think he genuinely thought he was doing good.
Yeah.
Firm advice, and lots of, like, everybody's opinion's different. Maybe he's really, really diplomatic and just he thought get out of there while the getting's good, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's possible, because in an interview with Dr. Julie Ponesi, I think is how you pronounce her name, he seemed to be indicating that he was surprised at all of this, and that he didn't say that he was a cynic. He thought that there might actually be good people in government. And so acting on that belief and that system, I think you and I are far past maybe not being cynics here, but he seemed to be open-minded that some politicians would actually be working on behalf of Canadians. And he was surprised absolutely and appalled at the mainstream news. So perhaps you're right. Perhaps he actually thought that the government was in fact moving because of the truckers, but yet at the same time, Quebec said, oh, we'll remove it, but we'll put it back if there's another strain. So that wasn't a real win to me. So, so for now, benefit of the doubt, Janine, maybe.
Yeah, we'll give him the benefit. I will anyway, it seems.
Okay. Okay. Naive, maybe a little bit too optimistic.
Lots of
I
us.
don't know. A lot of people are having trouble with that in the chat, Janine, but okay, let's. Again, I don't know what he was thinking, but when I saw that, I freaked out and I typed that in. And again, that was before the Emergency Act. So clearly nothing's been won. On the contrary.
Yeah. And he could just be susceptible.
Yeah.
That word. To you know, like the larger mainstream media.
Yeah.
Brainwashing.
Maybe.
Right? Like,
although he was really, he demolished them for their lack of reporting and their true outright misrepresenting of the truth. He's been really good at doing that in the last couple of weeks. Like, wow, like actually really choice words he was having there. So anyways, okay, well, but again, this is the fog of war, the fog of woo, as we say. So we have to be careful with what we hear and not bring our energy frequency down. Look at the big picture. Always step back, take a breath, relax, take a step back. And this is what Janine and I were doing last night before we came out here, you know, half cocked and off the handle. Speaking of half cocked and off the handle, Janine, why did you send me this clip here tonight? What are we talking about here? Now, guys, I apologize, but this is a mainstream. It was on a tabloid.
Do you guys remember this? Yeah, I remember when that picture came out. So my thoughts, well, and no, okay. I almost stole your thoughts. Jean-Claude's thoughts were, what he said was, Well,
You want me to do? Okay, okay. I'll
You
just
say
kidding.
it. You say it.
Okay,
You're
okay. So it's kind of a joke, guys. So first of all, Janine did send me this. I'm like, okay, but what's the news story? And in my mind, I'm like, well, Justin's mama is, of course, a freedom fighter. If you look at the picture, you'll understand why she's absolutely free. It is in stark juxtaposition to our son here with all of the crazy mandates. So I do apologize for bringing that up for those of you who are sensitive, but hey, you know with that.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just going to help myself. Oh, Janine, as you were talking about what you were doing this morning and sending me this poster that caught me by surprise. You were relaxing today. Talk about the nice people here at the spa ritual.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, at this place, I finally got my feet done after 2 years. You wouldn't have wanted to see them, let me tell you before. Now they're like lovely. And it was because I had a nice couple of hours here at the spa ritual, which is in Crowfoot Crossing in Northwest Calgary. And it's absolutely spectacular. Like the atmosphere was so relaxed and wonderfully inviting. And I didn't feel a bit like weird for whatever my choices might be one way or the other. I just waltzed in there and was treated really well. So yeah, my toes look great and I'm going back. I booked another session in 3 weeks for some other stuff. Yeah, it's going to be my ritual spa place now.
Well, very good. And if you guys are in that neck of the woods, the website is the sparitual.com. It's on the screen now. So congratulations to all you guys who are still in business and went through all of these crazy shenanigans for the last 2 years. And we all need a little bit of pampering and, of course, a lot of healing moving forward. We're not done yet, but we do need to take some time from time to time to heal and to be with our family and to hug people, as we've been doing all week or the last 3 weeks here on Parliament Hill. Absolutely amazing, all the hugs I got, including this crazy hug from, I believe it was the Grinch. Let me see if I can bring that picture. Wait, which one was it? Is this one here? Wait, does that come up? Doesn't come up. Where did it go? What am I looking for? I'm missing one. It should be on this one. Hold on. Let's see if I can bring that up. But guys, if you haven't seen my reporting from, was it Saturday or Sunday? I think it was Sunday now. Please do go check that out. It was absolutely amazing. And these guys here, of course, were playing singing bowls. Again, oh my God, what crazy terrorists play singing bowls on Parliament Hill. This is the guy. So go into the 8-minute mark. He's talking about healing. Absolutely fabulous message about healing and how we all need to come together here, and we can't ignore the fact that we have been traumatized for the last 2 years at every level, and maybe nobody more so than our children who don't have the tools and the stress relief methods and toolkits that adults have. So we really need to pay attention to that moving forward. Why don't we end the show on that here, Janine? Ask the cards what words of advice we can give to the audience members here to deal with this healing process that is absolutely still in front of us now.
Yeah. So right now, we absolutely just got to get ourselves free. That's number one, because we're literally like fighting the war. We're literally on the ground fighting the war. It came to Calgary. Well, it came all over Canada, but it's been lots of different hotspots in the world, in particular Australia and New Zealand, right? And Austria and all these places. Like there's hotspots, right? So Canada became a hotspot. And I know it kind of was in a quiet way, but the trucker freedom thing just really brought it home, right? That we're in a hotspot war. So we have to do that first, unfortunately, before we can take a breath, because we're literally fighting for our future freedoms of those very children we're talking about that we need to be keeping safe in the future. Okay. So once things get settled down, we're all going to need to rest and relax and not talk about everything so intensely. Like every single day, that's all I really talk about, look at on my, like I'm reading news articles and all day I'm fighting that war and then talking about it on videos. Okay. So we might need a rest from that, and rest and relaxation, and talk about other things, because that could really help. Kids are really cool because you can just squirrel talk about something else. And it's really healing for them to just, okay, let's drop that. Never mind. Stop being so intense and like talk about this over here. And I used to have to remember to do that because I'm a really intense, focused, passionate kind of person. And as a mother, sometimes I'd get onto a rant and then my kids would have to hear about it. And then I'd remember, you know what, their life isn't about all your kind of passions and rants. So let's just have a fun day. And I would zip up about my big thing that I was working on. And I would just pay attention to their needs and, you know, like get them out playing or going to the places they enjoyed. And it was all about them. Right. So we got to make it all about the kids for a while and put this stuff aside and have a little fun.
Yeah. Fun it is. And so let's end the show on the fun. But somebody on the screen was just saying, yeah, that guy was talking about healing was amazing. So go check this out at the 8-minute mark and talking about the fun. This is, again, you can't walk 5 feet without getting hugged on Parliament Hill. But these were absolutely amazing characters. Let me see if you can play the clip and you can see these guys get up.
Oh, that's funny.
I asked them if they had anything to say. They said, no, we just want to hug people. So I'm like, oh, okay, I'll have a hug.
Yeah, these are the bad newserts that they had to call the emergency act on.
Right. This is the emergency. I know. Yeah. Like all the big hugs and kisses.
Too much fun going on and too much love.
Too much fun and too much love. Guys, holy shit. We're already at that. We're a bit in here. Thank you so much again for supporting us, guys. If you like what we're doing, please do support the show with our PayPal tip jar. It makes all the difference in the world. We really appreciate that. And please do remember to like, share, and subscribe on our channels here at Tarot by Janine and also here on Ascending Ravens. Now, tomorrow night, Janine and I will be coming back for another update show. But in the afternoon, I've got a special decoding the 144 or with the 144,000 number here. I'm going to be changing that poster because I might have another guest join us for that. That's going to be at 4 p.m. tomorrow. I'm mulling over here how to make that show extra special for you guys. But of course, tomorrow, because it is February 16 and we have all of these astrological alignments, Julie will be joining us on the screen tomorrow night for the 8 o'clock show. And again, we're going to be reporting on the siege of Ottawa. And finally, I believe on Thursday, we're going to do that in French also for the French audience. So we might have to change this poster here also for the Siège d'Ottawa for Thursday night at 8 o'clock Eastern. So I love you guys. Thank you so much for joining us here tonight. This was the Siege of Ottawa Convoy Freedom reporting. I love you guys. Have a great evening and we'll see you soon. Au revoir.
Au revoir.